News Radio 1290 WNBF.
News Radio 1290 WNBF and WNBF.com. Joining us now in the studio is Joseph Alig, who is going to give us a preview of something special that's being developed right now in Tioga County. And Joseph, welcome to WNBF.
Thank you very much, Bob. Thank you for doing all the detective work. This is just coming out, but we are opening a craft distillery in Apalachin, New York, down in Tioga County.
See, I had heard some rumors, some word on the street over the last several months, and then I thought, well, maybe it'll happen or maybe it won't. And then a few days ago, I drove past and I saw signs of activity at a beautiful barn off Route 434, and I said, well, I guess we may have a story here.
Yes, well, I was so glad that you stopped in. We've been working day and night for about 2.5 years on opening this distillery, and there are so many hoops you have to jump through that, it takes a whole community to make it work. And fortunately, we've had a lot of help and input from the community, and we've hit the point now where we will be opening in August, with the tasting room and our distillery going full blast. So we are really excited, but we've been so busy to this point, we've barely been able to keep up.
Well, when you say you're working with your fiancee.
Fiancee, yes.
And so not only are you busy making plans for opening up the business officially within a matter of weeks, but you're also busy planning a wedding at the same time.
Oh, yes. Getting married on July 8th to a wonderful woman, and she's been right beside me the whole time. And it's pretty interesting that we both share a passion for making whiskey, which is a good thing. It keeps a happy marriage, I hope.
I think it sounds like it's going to be an excellent foundation.
Oh, yes.
So Michelle has been helping you out. Give us a little background about yourself.
Okay.
First of all, you've lived in this area
Yes,
all your life.
All my life. I grew up on the east side of Binghamton, right down the street here. I graduated from Binghamton High School, went to Oneonta, took elementary education, and became a second grade teacher in Union Endicott for 21 years now. And of course, like everyone, we have our side hobbies that end up becoming maybe our second careers and things that we enjoy to do.
I think it's exciting. And then when I learned that you're an educator in the Union Endicott School District, I said, hey, that's cool. I graduated from Union Endicott High School. I had an aunt who was a longtime educator in the Union Endicott School District. She taught slightly younger kids for many years, but I remember her telling me the stories about the rewards and challenges of teaching young children.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And that is a very rewarding job. Making whiskey comes to a close second there, but
hey,
teaching is number one.
Well, it's great. It's great that people are willing to help impart knowledge into our young people, and
oh, yes.
and it's, let's face it, the young people of our region, they hold our future, and certainly the teachers in the school districts around here are doing great work. So we're very pleased for the work that you and your colleagues do.
Oh, thank you.
Tell me a little bit about your early days of getting interested in whiskey, and then ultimately and starting to make your own whiskey nearly a decade ago.
Sure. Believe it or not, when I was in college at Oneonta, I had a chemistry class, and the professor said, hey, would you boys like to learn how to make whiskey in the lab over here? And
I'm guessing a lot of hands went up. Yes,
yes.
Professor, absolutely.
Yes.
Let's do some experiments.
And that's exactly what we did, and we couldn't do it on our lab hours per class, but he said, you stop by at 3 o'clock when the lab clears out and I'll show you how. And that started a lifelong love of distilling, hobby distilling. And as I distilled off and on, and a friend of mine who's been distilling 20 years, he's actually our head distiller. I would ask him, hey, I didn't do very well. What did I do wrong? And he also is a very talented guy. He builds distillery equipment, and he moved to Pennsylvania. Well, when I went and visited my brother, we visit my brother and sister every summer, and in 2009, my brother's neighbor opened his own distillery called Thunder Road Distillery in Tennessee, and he loves it. And I helped him out when I would go down in the summer, and we would, see what it was all about. And he taught me some things, and he also showed me what the business was like. And I had so much fun that from that moment on, in 2008, 2009, I just was infatuated with distilling and the art of distilling. It's quite an art. It's almost like making food. And there's little nuances that you really have to know to make really, really great different kinds of whiskey.
Tell me a little bit about the challenges in terms of coming up with just the right mix of ingredients. I have to admit, I know very, very, very little about how whiskey is made and about how even slight alterations can make all the difference in the world. But from what little I've been told, I know it can be critical.
Oh, yes. One of the biggest exciting things about making whiskey and beer, and even wine for that matter, is that they relaxed the regulations. New York State did it. I think it was around 2012, so that they allowed smaller producers to get into the market. Well, the art of producing these things has kind of been lost because the southern states produce most of the whiskey and things like that. Well, when New York State relaxed that and allowed others to make whiskey and make beer and make other things, the art of making it flavorful and from local products and the best products you can make these spirits from exploded. So everybody was experimenting, and this has not happened in, probably 100 years, because the market continually shrunk because of regulations. And now that they opened it up, I guess it's a form of capitalism, it allowed everybody to join in the game, and the lost art of making specific bourbons and whiskeys has now become quite an explosion, and you have all these different variations that have not been worked with for many years. So upon saying that, whiskey, and we make a neutral spirit called corn whiskey, and it's distilled 3 times, but when you mix it with natural flavors, it can vary in taste. So you have to really experiment scientifically with the right proportions to get the flavor you're looking for. And it's kind of funny, the way that whiskey is made, anything over 80 proof, the whiskey consumes the flavor. You just taste whiskey. But anything under 80 proof, your palate can actually taste the whiskey. And the great thing is, whiskeys were made with all kinds of ingredients in the past, and that has kind of gone away. And being a craft distillery, we're going to play with things like distilling molasses, distilling cherries, distilling all these, apples, and all these things that New York State allows us. And even beets, to a certain degree. There's certain beets that that are great for distilling, and they're even distilling sweet potatoes now. Different distilleries are playing with that.
Interesting.
And it makes for amazing flavors. I couldn't even tell you where to begin with all of that.
So is what is going on in craft distilling today very similar to with what's going on in craft brewing in New York and across the country?
Yes, it's a huge explosion. And not knocking the large manufacturing and distilling companies, but they really pay close attention to the bottom line and their profits, and they don't tend to experiment. And the easiest way for them to make whiskeys or to flavor whiskeys is to use artificial ingredients and things like that. Well,
in other words, similar to what the big beer companies do.
Yes.
And again, obviously they're doing something right in terms of being able to produce mass quantities for a general audience. I mean,
Yes.
they're not in danger of going belly up anytime soon. But you also have seen the trends that in terms of growth among the big boys in certainly in brewing, and I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't looked that much in distilling, but the growth that used to be there has tapered off, or in some cases it's starting to decline. Whereas in the craft sector, there's a lot of growth going on as people learn to experiment and people become more willing to try new things that never crossed their minds, say, as recently as 5 or 10 years ago.
Oh, yes. And, that's the beauty of it. I think a lot of the big companies, they were worried about, something costing a little extra, but getting a flavor or something all natural or having something unique. And the craft beer industry has taken over 12% of the general market, and they used to kind of laugh at them in the beginning, but people will pay a few extra dollars to have choice. I guess it goes back to I think it was Chevrolet that Ford said I make a great car, but it's only in black, and Chevrolet came out with colors, and I think Ford has been catching up ever since. That choice opened many doors for many companies, and I think it's kind of neat because New York State has taken on a persona as one of the top players in the beer, wine, and spirits industry. And the great thing is we're reaping benefits, and you see farms starting to recoup profits now, where at one time they weren't able to plant certain fields because they didn't have the demand. So it's really turned around industry.
Tell me about the site that you've chosen to start your distillery, which will be known as Waterman's Distillery.
Oh, yes. This barn, I had seen it before it went on the market. I heard it was going on the market basically 9 years ago, and I had seen it and I had loved it, and I knew there was something special about this beautiful barn, and it was owned by the Waterman family. Fred Waterman, who started Waterman Conservation, and his wife Lolita. They had kept this barn in tip-top shape all its life, and the thing is, when I seen it, I thought this will be something someday, and it had a nice piece of land with it, and it's in Apalachin, and it's just gorgeous, the architecture, the craftsmanship, and I was able to marry some of my favorite things here, which is distilling and taking this barn and making sure it will stand for another 100 years and be kept up to the highest standards. And so everybody that walks in, they have a feeling of, I guess, relaxation, or people just love it. There's a neat feeling about walking into a barn that has been there since the 1860s and is pretty much unchanged in a lot of ways.
Well, the barn has a special significance for me because decades and decades ago, as a child, I played in that barn with my siblings, with my brother and my two sisters, because Fred and Lolita were my great uncle and great aunt. And so when I had heard that there was a plan to basically bring new life to this long dormant barn, which had been used in recent years for storage, I was so intrigued and so excited. And then a few days ago, when I happened to go by and actually see you and your fiancée over there at work and had a chance to go inside this barn for the first time in more than 40 years, it brought back so many memories of a lot of fun times playing inside there as a kid.
Yeah, there's something magical about that barn. You go in there and all your worries just kind of fade away. And you can, even though there's not hay in there anymore, but you can smell the animals and you can smell the hay. You get a whiff and it brings you right back to your childhood. And there's something peaceful about it. It's just amazing. And the care in which they took care of this barn, it was a staple of their life. And it's really amazing because you see a lot of barns now falling down when you drive places all over New York State and in Pennsylvania, and I hope that there's a life for these barns. You know, they're just amazing pieces of our history. And
well, as you noted, the wood in there is remarkable.
Yes.
The type of wood that was used to build that so many years ago is just the type of wood you can never find today.
No, it's they're mostly 300-year-old trees. We counted the rings and every one that we could. They're 2-inch thick planks that line this barn. There's everything from American cherry to chestnut to walnut. We have so much walnut, and that's, you know, something you just don't see. And oak and hemlock. And each wood is so sturdy because the grains are so closely packed in these that they're almost as strong as steel, the engineer said, which was amazing. Tell
me what you've been up to in just say the last year or so in making preparations, because on the one hand you have to prepare physically the property, but then there are many hoops to jump through in terms of getting all the approvals necessary to start up this type of business.
Yes, it took 2 years between going through Tioga and the town of Owego and all the correct paperwork that you have to do and getting the property rezoned. After doing all of that, you still have to apply for all your licenses and all your permits. And once we got through most of that, what really takes a lot is you can't do it by yourself. New York State, they're very proud of saying that they relaxed regulations and made things easier, but it's still not that easy. The thing is, it's easier than it has been in the past, and it does take some investment, you know, and you know, you do have to work with lawyers. There's no way around that, and engineers and architects. But one of the great things is I've had a lot of help from people in the community. Everyone from Don Castellucci to Donna Lepardo. They have been right there, and the people of the town of Owego and Apalachin have been right there to help push this through. You know, there's times when you feel like, oh boy, I don't know if I can do it, but somebody is always pushing you forward, which has been great.
Well, it's exciting. Obviously, it may test your patience from time to time, and certainly when you have what I believe to be a dream, sort of a dream of a lifetime, I'm sure from time to time have said to your fiancé, gee, I wish we could just snap our fingers and be open, up and running, and have everything going the way we envision it, and yet you understand it's going to take some more time.
Oh, yes. I think one of the reasons for all these hurdles is to see if you're a quitter. If you quit early, you probably wouldn't make it. But if you work and you work through it, you can be maybe successful. And successful means a number of different things. It means being proud of what you make. It means being proud of supporting the community. One of the exciting things is I can't wait to give back to the community. And Waterman's, that's one of our big goals, whether it's the Apalachin Library or any other types of things that we can help the community. I would love to bring business back to this area. That is one of our biggest goals.
In addition to the use of the barn as a distillery, it's also going to be used as an event venue.
Yes. You know, it's almost too good to keep it to ourselves as a distillery. We will hold weddings, retirements, all kinds of things if people are interested in holding it there in a barn. It has that appeal. It can be a neat venue.
Well, it's exciting at this point, again, with the realization that target dates can slip, and anytime that you're in business and starting something new, you may have to reevaluate and adjust the schedule. But at this point, how soon do you think you can have the official opening?
Well, we were looking at hopefully the first week in August. There are some things that we're waiting back on. There's some New York State paperwork. There's some bonding through the SBA where they bond your loans, and M&T has been working their tails off, and they've been so helpful. You know, that's another big thing of being a local business. You know, can you get funding? And I have to say, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, and I would love to have you come to something they call Breaking Down the Silos. Bob, you're going to meet a whole bunch of neat people doing unique things in the area that you may not even ever heard of, and they're just at the grassroots. And hopefully we're keeping our fingers crossed that nothing will hold it up. It could be held up by a couple weeks, but our equipment's paid for. We have everything we need to make it. We're just waiting on paperwork, but
I can sense the excitement.
yes.
Joseph Alig, who, along with his fiancée, Michelle, soon-to-be wife, I wish you the best as you continue this journey, and I'll invite you to keep us posted. We'll have you back on the program to give us an update soon on the future of Waterman's Distillery in Apalachin.
Oh, excellent. And thank you so much for giving me this chance to be interviewed, Bob. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. It's nice to see new life going to happen in that beautiful, beautiful red barn.
Thank you.